Now, what I found was most people did not have an effort problem. They had an order of operations problem in getting their home organized. So I call this Swiss cheese organizing. And what I say is if you can stand it and really organize your closet, your bedroom, your storage rooms, once you get those spaces organized, they will stay organized for a longer period of time.
Buckle up for a new episode of the S.H.E podcast, the show where we have real and raw conversations to inspire and empower you to be seen and heard so you can create balance and everything you want in your life and business. I'm your host, Heidi Schock, and I'm excited to walk alongside of you on this journey of being seen, heard, and empowered. Welcome to the S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. Welcome. If you're new to joining us, welcome. So excited to have you here with us today. You're in for a real treat with my guest. We're going to be diving into a lot of different things, and I'm excited to be chatting with her. Stay with us because her energy is just like, we've been talking a little bit about the behind the scenes, and I know this is going to be a fantastic conversation with a lot of information. So without further ado, welcome Lisa Woodruff to the podcast. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I know we've been chatting through email and we had a little time before we hit record, but I'm going to give everybody a little bit of background on you, Lisa, and then we'll dive in. Okay.
Great.
Okay. So Lisa Woodruff is the founder and CEO of Organized 365. Lisa and 87% of Americans believe organization is a learnable skill, yet less than 18% of those same Americans feel they are organized. I'm part of that crew. As the host of the top-rated Organized 365 podcast with 24 million downloads and counting, Lisa shares strategies for reducing the overwhelm, clearing the mental clutter, and living a productive and organized life. Wow, Lisa, did you come into my life at the right time?
Yay.
So, Lisa, with everything you do with organization and clutter and what we're going to talk about today, is this something that you navigated yourself on your own personal journey, or were you always organized and you're like, this is my gift and I get to share it with the world?
Both and right? Yes. And so I was a very organized kid and I organized my bedroom. I organized my artistic mother. I organized all the houses that I babysat in. I was organized when I was a stay-at-home mom. And then life just got harder and harder and overwhelming. And I found myself in one of those seasons where I didn't recognize my house. I didn't recognize myself. I was very negative and depressed and overwhelmed. And I had to reorganize myself for the next phase of life. This was in my late 30s, going into my 40s. And that's when I started Organized 365. So I started Organized 365 the year that I turned 40. And I started it because I wanted to go from doing a lot of random different jobs to one job that I really could sink my teeth into and grow something that would be my business. No matter what it would be, I would just grow my business. I was trying to earn $500 a week. So I wasn't trying to have like this huge conglomerate of a business and just replace my teaching salary, but have more time freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, I got organized, and people told me I was an in-home professional organizer. Once I realized that was a thing, I doubled down on that and started a service-based business and was able to scale that to 6 figures. And I was like, oh, I really like being a CEO. I like being a business owner. I like getting other people organized. And as I got other people organized, I realized that organization does kind of come in phases. Like you could be a really organized kid, but not an organized adult. You could be a disorganized kid and an organized adult. You can be organized for a couple of decades and then disorganized again. And I started to see a much bigger picture of what organization was. So now at the age of 54, I've been growing this company for 14 years. I've reorganized again as we're now in a multi-generational family with our grandkids living with us. And I've gotten my PhD, and I'm looking at this from an academic lens, not just a household manager and my lived experience, but like other people, like how do other people experience life and get organized?
Yeah, this is so good because I know I'm not the only one. And I think when we're in our home and the clutter that can surround us, and especially if we're running a business, like for me, I'm a single mom running a business, two teenagers. And
Mhm.
I feel like the laundry never ends, Lisa. It never ends. It's like literally on the other side of the computer is laundry that I folded 2 days ago, and we still haven't put it away. What are some things that people can do if they're feeling an overwhelm? Because that is a big contributor to overwhelm. I know when we have our space clear, and a lot of the space could be clear, but then you've got that section, that junk drawer, and that section that kind of can weigh you down. So let's start with, I was going to ask you a question, but I want to pivot that question and start with, what are the things that clutter causes? I want to say negative, but I don't like attributing something negative or positive. But what are the
Mhm.
things that we can be feeling or clutter can cause that doesn't support us in our life?
So I'm going to kind of give a multifaceted answer because so often when we talk about our house and you mentioned clutter, you mentioned housework, there's also invisible work, there's household administration. And I think a lot of times when we want to talk about the overwhelm that we feel at home, we don't have a good vocabulary. The reason we don't have a good vocabulary is there isn't a good vocabulary. Like you may be surprised to know that housework has not been defined well enough to be studied. And yet there are thousands of academic studies on housework, but scientists agree there is no definition of housework. So that was the first thing I did in my PhD is surveyed 1,000 Americans. They were 18 to 65, men and women. What is housework? Housework is three things. It's the laundry you mentioned, everything food related, and cleaning. So that is overwhelming because it's never going to go away. You need it from the time you're born until the time you pass away. It's just the amount of work that you need to do for life to sustain life. And if you eat 3 times a day, that's 21 times you have to think about food minimum. Plus, you have to grocery shop. And if you're going to do planning, do you see how much time this is? That's just the basics. Then you also mentioned clutter. So, clutter is like taking care of your environment, your household environment. And I like to help people get organized and organize your household spaces and the things that you have for the phase of life you're in. Often you'll have things held over from a previous phase of life, or you won't really have reorganized how you're using your space for this phase of life. Like you mentioned that your kids are teenagers, so that's different than how your house functioned when they were younger. It's different than how it'll function when they go off to school and they go into their own homes someday. And so we have to kind of reorient the physical space. Then there's the stress and the overwhelm from the invisible work. So the invisible work is being the CFO of your household, like managing all the bills and all the finances. It is the calendaring that needs to be done. It is the keeping all of the trains going on the tracks and where everyone needs to go and planning the holidays or what are you going to do this summer and making sure all the maintenance is done in the household. And I haven't even hit everything that household managers do. It is a full-time job, but we think it's just housework or just a few chores here and there. And when you really realize that you are running an enterprise, you're running your household, and you bring to bear all of the things you bring to bear in the business that you own and the business that you're running, you'll think about your housework differently. You'll start to be able to compartmentalize it like I have, and then you'll apply different solutions to those different areas, just like you would in business.
Mm. So, what made you launch the book? Because I'm going to show this because I want to dive
Okay.
into the book because by diving into the book,
Okay.
we're going to have that's going to open up more conversation. So, tell
Yeah.
us about escaping quicksand because I love this name of the title of the book. And thank you for this is amazing. I'm excited to dive in because I know I need this. But I love the title of it, Escaping Quicksand, because that's how it
Mhm.
feels when we're in overwhelm and we feel like we don't even know where to start sometimes with organization.
Yes. Escaping Quicksand is my sixth book. It is 10 steps to overcome the overwhelm of modern home life. And it is the mental mindset shifts that I made in my 40s as I got my home organized. So, yes, I have courses and products that will help you get your home paper organized, all of those kinds of things. But you also need to make some mental mindset shifts along the way in order for that organization to stick. Like you said, going from reactive to proactive is very hard, especially in your household, because we feel so alone. And often we are alone with the burden of running our households. And you could find little tips and tricks here and there on the internet about how to solve individual problems, but not a whole system solution to how to actually embrace that role as the household CEO and get started. So part of it is really realizing that your household is the number one economic entity in the world. 68% of US GDP is household spending. So how you spend the money in your household is basically how the world runs. We have a very big economic impact. And once you realize that, even though your labor at home is technically free, it is not with no cost. So really realizing like, okay, maybe it is time to think about what we're doing at home and the economic impact it has. Do you want me to go on with some other things that are in the
Yeah,
book?
please
Okay.
go.
Okay. So a couple of other things are, in getting homes organized in Cincinnati, Ohio, when I was doing in-home professional organizing, I could do that in a week. It would be $5,000 and I would send the whole team in and we would get your whole house organized in a week. It sounds like a dream, right? But most people don't have that kind of money and I only have so much time. So I translated all of that online into online courses that will get your whole home organized as well, but it takes longer. It takes you a year to get through the course. Now, what I found was most people did not have an effort problem. They had an order of operations problem in getting their home organized. It's
Mm.
not that you're not putting in enough effort. It's that you're organizing spaces that will immediately become disorganized every single week. So I call this Swiss cheese organizing. So every week you go and you're like, I'm going to organize the family room and the kitchen and the front entryway. And then the next weekend you have to do it again and again and again. And what I say is if you can stand it and you can step over those piles and live with a refrigerator that's a little overcluttered for a month and really organize your closet, your bedroom, your storage room, some of these spaces that only you are in. Once you get those spaces organized, they will stay organized for a longer period of time. That is how you finally get organized, is by prioritizing the areas that need to be done that no one sees first, and then doing the areas that everyone sees second.
That's where I'm failing, Lisa, because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
what you said when we first started talking is, we were going to be doing this from the moment we're alive, born until we end. We're
Yeah.
always cleaning and doing and whatever.
Yeah.
And there is never a sense of completion, which
Right.
can be highly frustrating. And, what's the word I'm looking for? Just depleting. It'd be
Yeah.
frustrating and feel depleting, especially when you're, constantly picking up for other people and you feel like you're just rinsing and repeating. And so, for example, for me, I'm going to be fully transparent. My office really needs to be done. I'm not in my office with recording because my internet doesn't seem to like my office. So we're working on that. But the office is also has become like a dump place. My daughter will
Mm-hmm.
go in there and she'll do her crafts in there, and then the door gets closed, so it's forgotten about. So I'm not working out of it day to day like I was before. And I keep going over there. I'm like, I don't have the time to sit here and declutterize this and organize it because I'm constantly doing all of this stuff, the laundry, cleaning my bathroom, my bedroom, all the things that we need to be doing, the kitchen out here versus focusing on that. So I love what you said about prioritizing what does nobody see that needs to get done and be okay with the other spaces for a month by taking those weekends or 2 weeks, whatever it's going to do, to take those weekends and that time to clutter. Because I know once we do it, right, Lisa, how freeing and how good does it feel? My daughter, I've been telling her for months, please clean your room. She finally started this past weekend, and literally it's worse now before it gets better. We're in that worse before it gets better stage. But I go, how are you feeling? She's like, I'm feeling good. I'm like, yeah, you feel a little more energy. You feel a little more upbeat.
Yeah.
You don't seem so like everything's weighing you down. So do you hear that a lot from people that have moved through your process?
Yeah. So is this the same daughter that has the crafts?
It's one daughter. She's 17 and she's
Okay.
driving now. So she's here and there. And when she's home, she's in her room laying down. And I'm like, get up, let's clean and let's do this and let's do that. And the only time she gets excited to clean is when somebody's coming over and they're going to be seeing the downstairs. Then she goes ballistic. And I'm like, why can't you do that in your room? Even though nobody sees it, it weighs on you. It weighs on me.
Yeah, let's press into that. So I like to call kids' bedrooms their mini apartments. And I call them their mini apartments because they are their dedicated space in the household that they have some say over, but you're the landlord, so you can always overrule them and they have to petition you for any changes that they want. But you
I
can
love
make the
this.
rules. And then this is their space. And really, you're teaching her that in this space, she will then move into a dorm room or an apartment or a condo, which will be a little bit bigger of a space. So if she can learn to manage her bedroom, then she can manage these little bit bigger spaces. So she's also the one doing the crafts. Then what I would say is, Yay! We are going to this summer make your bedroom your mini apartment because soon you will have an apartment or a condo or dorm room. And so we need to really be practicing. So you need to know how to have space for your crafts in your bedroom. And you can put a folding table in there or an IKEA desk that's very inexpensive with cubes or whatever you need in order to get all the crafts in there. Get them out of your office and get them in her crafts.
Mm.
Second, you mentioned that the laundry is done, but it's not put away. Who cares? I mean, unless somebody's coming over, who cares? So just ignore the fact that the laundry is folded, but it's not put away, and you focus your effort on getting your office where you need to get it. So we're going to, within a couple of weeks, you're going to be moved into your mini apartment. We can even have moving day, and I am going to reclaim my office, and we're going to have high-speed internet in there or whatever it is. And then you come back out and you worry about the laundry. But trust me, you'll go find your favorite clothes, no matter where they are, if they're dirty, if they're clean,
Right.
wherever they are. And then as she's doing her mini apartment, you double down on your what I call your condo. So your bedroom, bathroom, closet area is your condo because you got a little bit bigger of a space. So she's going to do her closet, you're going to do your closet. She's going to do her bathroom, you're going to do your bathroom. And when you're doing your bathroom with a 17-year-old, you're thinking, okay, well, what is she still borrowing from me that I actually need to buy her a set of because soon she won't be here? Trying not to trigger you or anything. But that's what I found. Like I would get so ticked off when my daughter would take something out of my bathroom. I'm like, well, what do you think, Lisa? She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a car. She can't go get it. Like she's going to borrow it from you. So when she borrows it, then you go and you buy two more, a new one for you and a new one for her. And you're like, this is you. And you've got to start doing your own bathroom, things like that. So teaching those skills of organization. And that's what we do in Organize 365. So, what is the pain point? How can you reorganize your house for the phase of life you're in? Then go ahead and organize all of the spaces in your house. That's the physical organization. We call that the productive home solution. And then we do information management. So, this is your file cabinet, your binders, information you have in your head and on the computer that people would need in an emergency. And we do those in binders. And then we do the Sunday basket, which is weekly planning. And we do
Wow.
trimester planning, just like you would do in business. 3 times a year, we do trimester planning and we plan out the next 4 months. What are the holidays? What are the different things? So you're getting ready at the beginning of May here to plan out your summer with your daughter. So this is your summer. Our big thing is I'm going to get my office back. You're going to get your apartment done. I'm going to get my condo done. And by the time we go back to school in the fall, we're going to have these spaces totally ready and up leveled for where we're going in the future.
Yeah. And this is a big year for her, senior year. So this is a great time to do it. So this is
Mhm.
fantastic. Can I just tell you I'm loving this. It's like
Yay.
so like perfect timing.
Yeah.
Um so let's dive into your programs. So
Hmm.
how are your no, first of all, I want to say I'm intrigued that you have a PhD in this. I didn't even know this
Ah,
existed. So I'm going to tell my daughter about this because she's not the most organized, but you can become, right? You can become it. So I think it's fantastic you have a PhD and that you've interviewed people, both male
mhm.
and female, ages 20 to 65, you said?
Yeah,
Yeah,
18 to 65.
18 to 65. I can only imagine how different their views were. Were they, did you
Okay,
have a lot
so
of
I'm
different?
glad you say this.
Yeah, I'm really interested
So
because
first of all,
you
yes,
said that I'm like, it's gotta be
organization.
different.
Organization is a learnable skill. The first study I did in 2021, I did not have a PhD. I hired an academic. We did a study and I asked like a bazillion questions. I've run that study 4 times. That's called replicating your study. So I've asked 5,000 Americans 18 to 65 these questions. And every single time it's 87 to 86 to 87% believe organization is a learnable skill. When I saw that come back, I was shocked. I was like, wow, I didn't know that many people thought it was learnable, which is so silly because obviously everything is learnable. The thing is, who's teaching it?
Right.
No
Nobody.
one. We're selling two solutions. We're selling decorative solutions, an aesthetic solution, or we're telling you to make it digital, which actually a lot of times just makes it a bigger problem. So there are very few
You want to see
people
my
teaching.
emails? The digital is really a
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah. So decluttering is something that's taught, but the actual act of organizing, there are very few people that actually can teach the act of organizing. So that is something that is not really focused on. Now, the history of household organization, if you go back to the Cheaper by the Dozen lady, you remember that movie? That was a real woman, Lillian Gilbreth, in the 30s, 40s. She was an academic and she studied efficiencies in the household. She gave us all the awesome things we have in the kitchen triangle, the pedal trash can, using the inside of the refrigerator door. She invented all of that stuff and a whole bunch of stuff we don't have, which we should, that we used to have. After she passed away, the household management academic focus went to economics, the economics of the household. This is when big box retailers became popular, soap operas became popular. They would market to the American homemaker. The homemaker was actually a construct that was created out of marketing. It didn't exist before, so they created her and then they marketed to her, and that's why we are the economic center. Then in the 80s, we went into this feminist theory that women do more than men. I mean, okay, duh. We have since dinosaur days. We've always run the households. I don't know who you think was running the households. You go back to the presidents. If the presidents didn't have wives, it was their daughters that ran their estates, that ran the households. There have always been women running households. It's just what we do. We run households. But I understand why this became a focus of academia, and it became a focus because women wanted to be in the marketplace. Women have also always been in the marketplace, but this was, media was really feeding into this. So we started to study in academia in the 80s married women with children under the age of 18. So we went from studying the whole household in all these other years from an efficiency standpoint and an economic standpoint to why can't women get out and work? It's because they're doing too much work at home. So spouses need to work because their kids at home and there's not enough time. Now, in the 80s, 40% of Americans were married with children under the age of 18. But today, that's only 17.9% of the American population, which means that more than 80% of Americans are not married with children under the age of 18. But we're still only studying that subset of the population because we're under the doing gender theory that says women do more than men. Yes, okay, great, they do more than men. So my study actually, where I said, what is housework? And I asked men and women, 1,000 of them across the lifespan, not just people who are married with children. There was no difference, Heidi, in what they thought housework was. Yeah, exactly. Nice face. No difference. Men and women agreed 100% on what housework was. And I asked a follow-up question. If you said this was housework, is it essential? 100% agreement. Only three things: laundry, food, cleaning. That's it. You know why yard work isn't on there? Not everybody has houses. But yard work is something we're studying in academia because the original population of 360 families married with children under 18, all but one of them owned a home. So, of course, yard work is going to be work if you own a home. So anyways, I have to say it that way because I want people to really realize a lot of what we hear in the media is coming from a specific orientation, which has a place, but it isn't the only place. Men and women don't disagree on what housework is. They may not be doing it equally, but they don't disagree on what it is.
Yeah, that's fascinating. That's fascinating. And I would think the age groups too would be different. There'd be a differentiation there. And there's not,
Yes,
it's
there
interesting
is
that
slight.
yard work, because I would think housework is like, well, I would be like floor cleaning, like floors are my other nemesis. It's laundry and floors. I have a yard and I don't consider that housework, but only because I don't do it. If I did it, I mean, I don't mind doing it, but I couldn't see myself out there with a lawnmower. It's like, what, I'll do that between 1 and 3 a.m., I guess. But but I can
Yeah,
see that some people would consider, men maybe would consider that. There's a lot of women
right.
that I see out there doing the yard, which I think is fantastic. So that is fascinating. And I'm so glad we
hmm
talked about it because that blows my mind. I wouldn't have thought that. I wouldn't have
Yeah,
thought.
and I think a lot of, well, there is invisible work, and women are doing more invisible work than men are. And exactly in the studies, all of this work has become gendered. So yard work is a male work, cleaning inside the house is a female work because that's typically who in the study is doing it in a married couple.
In America,
However,
right? That's what
40% of
I have to
children
do.
are born to single mothers. So, I mean, there's that. Like, and you
Yeah.
can get out of yard work by owning a condo or renting an apartment or like, so, anyways, there's a lot of variables that we can eliminate work. Yeah, I'm going to be studying forever.
Yeah, this is fascinating. And I can imagine in 20 years it's going to change, or even in 10 years it could change again and more. So is this because we're
Mhm.
seeing more, like there are more single men, more divorces. So now you've got two
Mm.
people handling different households with children. So is that why we're seeing, let me pause. Was the responses that you're getting 100% the same that you got the last time you did it? Because I'm curious if it's because because there's more divorce now. So there's more single people, more men are cooking, more men are taking care of their own households now. So were the results different the first time you did it, or the first time you had somebody else did it that you were working with?
Not for me because I've only been researching for the last 5 years. It's not a
Okay.
long enough time. However, if you look back to the 1980s and how we were measuring how much work men and women were doing a lot more work than men. And that discrepancy between the amount of work women were doing and men are doing now has come together. Men are doing more work than they've ever done before, and women are doing less than they've ever done before. So that gap is becoming less. However, you'll love this, Heidi. When men get divorced, they add 5.5 hours of housework per week. And there are studies that show that single women actually do less housework than married women do, because, draw the conclusion.
So
Just
you have
saying.
more to take care of when you're married.
Yeah,
So
women do men's housework for them.
yeah. And they probably, and
Yeah,
also
married women.
women probably have smaller areas too to clean because they're, I don't know, when we can
No,
rabbit hole
this
with
is not moving. Like if you don't move and you get divorced, women lose 5 hours of housework because
it.
they got
Well,
divorced.
I can say that because I'm still
Yeah,
in the house and I am single now and I don't do as much housework as I did
yeah.
before. So yeah, I can see that. But my house isn't always spotless either. So there's that. So anyway, let's talk more about the book. Where can we get it?
Okay.
It's called Escaping Quicksand. Let's go back there
Yeah.
again. Where can we get it? Because it says 10 steps to overcome the overwhelm of modern home life, which is great because I know a lot of women listening are living in overwhelm. We don't know how to
Yeah.
get out of it. We feel like it's a rinse and repeat cycle. And I love that
Yeah.
you handle it by getting organized because I know organization is a huge piece
Mhm.
of I know for me, I know when I do it, like my closet is organized. I did that a couple of years ago, and yes, it can get messy, but I just clean up the mess.
It stays though, right? It
Organized,
stays overnight.
yeah,
Yes,
still
that's
organized,
exactly what I'm talking about. Some of these
yeah,
spaces, when you get them organized, of course, everything needs maintenance. I mean, we're not living in a museum,
right.
but it doesn't need the kind of overhaul that your kitchen refrigerator does every couple of weeks, right? Because I mean, you got to move that food in and out. So Escaping Quicksand is available everywhere books are sold. And
Okay.
if you buy it before the book launch on June 23rd and go to Organize 365, you can get in our book club where we're dropping different audio chapters right up into the book launch. So you'll be able to listen to the whole book even before you get it.
That's amazing. So for those of you listening, how can we know? So we go to organize365.com.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So you need to run there now and get this before it comes out because it's not coming out till June. Why wait
Yeah.
until June in order to
Right.
grab this? And I don't know when this episode's dropping. So if it's June, we'll try and get it out earlier. But if go get it now because and go join the book club and go get access and start organizing before the summer comes because you want to
Yeah.
enjoy your summer. And that's another thing, right? How does disorganization affect fun and joy in people's lives?
Well, I think because women are the ones that primarily run households, if they are in a household, um, how it robs you of joy in the summer is you're just reactive. Like if you haven't planned the week, if you haven't planned the summer, if you haven't planned your day, then unexpected things always arise. And I don't know why, but we're so tough on ourselves. We're, oh, I should have known that. I should have remembered that. Like, no, you're like a human being. You're not the AI robot. And yes, maybe you could have planned and you would have known in advance, but we have to give ourselves more grace. The more time you spend planning, the smoother your days are going to go and the smoother your summer is going to go. So if you can even just sit down and think just think through the next week, think through the next month. I'm big on planning because that is where we get time from. And that is really where we can make decisions in advance versus in the moment. How often have you made a decision in the moment because I can't believe I missed that? Okay, well, we'll just do this thing that's going to cost me more time and money because I'm trying to make up for the thing that I just missed. And I actually don't even really have time to do that. And we spiral out of control, right?
Can you walk us through your journey a little bit? You were a stay-at-home mom. How did you move
Mhm.
into this? What inspired you to now launch a business? I know that you were like, I just want to make $500 a week. And I love that you just had your goals. You weren't like trying to change the world and create $1 million
No.
business in a year, which you hear all these people wanting to do. You're like, you set up your goals. I know, and I say this in a way because I use it for myself. I know my limitations, and it's
Hmm.
important that, like, yes, we want to have big goals and big dreams, but it's also important to know our limitations with our environment. Like, if you have
Yeah.
children and you're a mom, understand that you get to take care of them. You get to go after your dreams. You get to practice your self care, and you get to have fun in the
Yes.
process and make sure that that we're living our life to our fullest. And that's a lot to juggle as a mom. So, how did you do it?
Yeah, I wasn't doing any of that, Heidi, and that's what I wanted. So I was in my late 30s. I was actually about to turn 40, and I loved being a stay-at-home mom. Took us a long time to get our children. We ended up adopting them. Loved being a stay-at-home mom. It's all I ever wanted to be in my entire life. However, we need money to take care of these children. And they were in middle school, and I'd been cobbling together all these different jobs. And I realized that if I ever really wanted to be in charge of my time and also my income earning opportunity, I needed to start my own business. I always knew I would have my own business one day. I was just afraid. Like I didn't know what it would be. I had no idea what I was doing. So I started the year I turned 40, I started Organize 365 as a blog because in Cincinnati, Ohio, there were some famous bloggers that had started some TV shows, and I was in these blogging meetups with them, and I was seeing all the success they were having just because they understood like how the internet worked because this was 2012. So this is a long time ago. And I was like, okay, well, I can write a lesson plan, I can write a blog, I'll write a story. So I started blogging. And I joined another direct sales company. I've been a part of 23 direct sales companies. So I joined another one and I started doing parties. And it was a couple months in when somebody said, "You're a professional organizer." And I Googled that and I was like, oh my gosh, like I can make money doing this. So I started doing professional organizing 4 months into Organize 365. And I did that for 3 years, replaced my teaching salary, really started to earn some good money, started a team. And that's when I realized that organization was a learnable skill because people were getting organized and canceling my services. I'm like, why don't you need me to come back? I'm like, oh, did you run out of money? Like,
Wait a
poor
minute,
you.
I'll
You're
tell
going to
you
have to
what I
just
do.
wait. Yeah, you're just going to have to wait for me. Like, okay, when you save up more money, I'll come and I'll save you. And they're like, no, no, we finished. I'm like, what do you mean you finished? And they're like, well, we listened to all the questions you were asking us and we just finished this weekend ourselves. And I was like, this sucks for me. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm a teacher. It's learnable. Okay, how do I do this? How do I teach this online? That's my unique opportunity in 2015. And that's when I started the podcast. I was like, all right, I'll just pretend I'm sitting next to somebody. What would I say to somebody if I was organizing with them? And that's how I started the podcast. What would I say to you as your organizational coach? That's what I do on the Organize 365 podcast.
Hmm.
And it just grew from there.
Yeah. And I love the name Organize 365 because it
I,
feels
I got it for keywords, SEO keywords. It's the only thing I knew when I started. Like, okay, this is a good keyword. I'm in business.
and it's fantastic because it feels like, oh, okay, like I'm not just getting organized because, we can buy all these programs and we can buy all these courses and then we're in it for a week and we feel like, oh, I got this. And then a month later, we're back to the same old habits with what you're sharing is this is a sustainable thing. Like my closet, I organize it. It was a lot. We had to put up new shelves and I'm color coded, which not me color coding, but I did it and I'm like now everything goes back to where it's supposed to be and I love it and it stays that way. Like we talked about, it can get messy, but once you organize, it's more likely to stay that way. Now I have to say I don't do as well with my pantry. My pantry I can organize, and then for some, but I also have other children inside of there too.
Yeah.
It's not just my space, so I think that has a lot to do with it. But tell us now more about Organize 365 as far as your course goes. And you said you have physical products, so can we learn more about that?
Yes. So because I'm a teacher, I created a school, basically. I kept trying to say it wasn't a school, but basically that's what I did. So I have been an online marketer for 14 years and I understand online marketing. But as a woman, there are just ways in which I like to experience courses and ways in which I like to purchase products that I don't really see other people doing. So I incorporated those in Organize 365. So as your organizer, as your teacher, I believe that when you buy a course from me, you should have lifetime access. Like as soon as there's a countdown clock on there, I feel pressure like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose access to the course. I'm not going to get it done in time. Oh no, my dog just threw up on the floor, but I have to finish this course before I don't have access to this course. Ah. And also as the content creator, like I want to be able to, as I grow and evolve, add in new modules, add in new lessons, and take out old ones that I find no longer are serving people and how they run their households. I mean, we run our households a lot differently now than we did in 2015, right? So I should be able to continually keep these courses updated. So everything we have is a lifetime purchase. And then when you make that purchase, you get three things. You get a physical product, you get an online course, and then you get a community. So it's really like you're signing up for different classes. So if you sign up for the Sunday Basket, we're going to mail you your physical physical box that's going to go on your kitchen counter. You're going to get enrolled and you'll have the on-demand course there. You'll be in the community where you can ask people questions. And then we have co-working time most Sundays where we actually go through and hold you accountable to go through your Sunday basket. And all of our products are like that. They have a physical component, an online component, and then a community that goes with it.
Amazing. So you've mentioned the Sunday basket a couple times. Is that like
Yeah.
prep, like prepping for your week? I'm just guessing, but is that what that sounds like it is? Like, because you said put it
Yeah.
in your kitchen. So I'm like, maybe that's prep work.
Yeah. So this is basically a lot of the invisible work we do as household managers. We could do it here and there. Some of us sit down and we do some of those things in like a weekly planning time, but this really creates structure for that weekly planning time for a household manager, just like you would in running your own business and you would set your week up in business. This sets up your household. So we go through our bills that need to be paid. We figure out what our errands are going to be. We figure out what orders we're going to place. We look at our calendar and we update our family on whatever the calendar changes are. We go through all of the mail. We go through all of the things that have come in through our DMs, our emails, all the different sports apps, like all the different ways that we get information. We check and make sure we followed up on all those things. And then we plan our next week. Like, what do we want our Monday to Friday to look like? Do we have driving covered? Do we have all the supplies we need for everything that we're doing? Have we coordinated childcare if you need to do that? Have you sent reminders for meetings that you're going to have? Just like you would in business, how do you set up your household for success?
Sounds like it takes a lot of time, but I'm guessing it really doesn't once you get it down because you're sending us the plan.
So it takes about 90 minutes to 3 hours, just depends, but most people are spending about an hour a day doing this. So you're saving 5 hours a week and you're
Right.
batching all your decision making into one planning time.
And you're saving hours during the week of the disorganization that you're not
Yep.
dealing with because you've done it. You took the hour and a half to 3 hours to do it prior. Now you're
Yes.
saving yourself time. Just like think about how much you're like looking for stuff that you didn't put it where it belongs. That's another thing. Like you put it where it belongs. I tell my kids everything should have a place, and put it where it belongs. Just don't drop it somewhere. What we're working on that. But yeah, I can imagine how much time that saves. So for the hour and a half to 3 hours of blocked time you're doing on, say, a Sunday, you're saving hours of and your sanity on top of
Yeah.
it. And you're also, for those of you moms out there like me, you're teaching your children, which my children need to be taught. I need to be better at that. I get to be better at that, is teaching them how to best be most efficient and organized for their life. Because organized people tend to also be more successful. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think so. Because they
yeah.
have more time and capacity.
Yeah. And if you're the type of person, like I hear all these gurus say, like, for those things that you don't need to be doing, hire somebody out. If you can't hire, then
Right.
we need to do it ourselves until we can get to that point. So thank you, Lisa, for being here. This has truly been amazing. I can't wait to dive into the book and read it. And so where can we learn? Where can we get your courses? We know where to get your book, and we're going to promote that again. But where can we get your courses, learn more about you, and connect with you?
Yeah, everything is at organize365.com for the courses. The podcast is called Organize365, and I'm most active on Instagram under Organize365.
Well, there you go. She's perfectly branded. You
Because I'm
can't
old.
find her. You can't not find. She's organized, perfectly branded, organized. Lisa, let's talk real quick about that. What was your biggest challenge when growing your business when you started to where you are now? Because I know there's been some ups and downs along the way. COVID's one of them. We don't have to talk about that, but I know that's what a lot of people bring up. But were there other things? You were already online. So you had already did that pivot to move online because you had, instead of COVID, you had people who were like, oh, we got this now. Thank you for your help. We got it. So that was your catalyst to moving on into the online space. But what were some of those challenge marketing wise, visibility wise? Like what have you done that's worked and what have you done that hasn't worked?
I think the biggest hurdles for me have been wanting to do what other online marketers are doing. But in my gut, I'm like, no, I think I should do this. Like, so when I started my podcast, online marketers were doing YouTube. When I started my programs, I did lifetime access. Everyone was doing like 12 weeks, countdown bonuses, bonuses. And it's like a $18 million package that you could get for $9.97. And I never did any of that marketing. And And I just kept doing what I wanted to do, but I was like, am I missing something? Could I be more successful if I was doing what all the other online marketers are doing? And now a lot of those online marketers are like, this doesn't work and we're going to pivot to something else. And I'm just like the slow and steady train. I've never gone viral for anything at all. And I'm just like, I'm just still here doing my little courses and I want to work till I'm 80. So that's another 26 years. So I'm just going to keep being here, just being consistent, consistent, consistent. So I think that has worked. I would say another thing that really surprised me was I did want to earn $500 a week when I started my business. And then I became successful and the company grew to six figures. And then it was $1 million business. I never set out to have a six-figure business or $1 million business. And then once it was $1 million business, it has stayed that and more every year. And that is something I wasn't prepared for. I didn't really plan for. I wasn't prepared for. And I don't think there are a lot of resources, especially for women who have multi-million-dollar businesses. One, because there are so few of us. And two, because we're so busy running the business, we don't have a lot of time to share with you what we're doing in the business and what's working and what's not working. And the more women I find who do have million-dollar businesses, we're not running them the way other people are. Like we are employee first, we are time flexible, we are, we're running our businesses different than our male counterparts. And also, we're running our households as well. So we're running two businesses at the same time. So we just don't have a lot of time and capacity to do a lot of the networking and things like that. I would say that's the biggest thing I think about often is how do I continue to be relevant and know what I need to know to run a business? Without an MBA, even though I have a PhD, I'm like, but I don't have an MBA. And so I think women in general, we just kind of second guess everything we're doing, even though the marketplace is saying, no, you're doing the right things because we're rewarding you with money.
Yeah, they love what you have, and you
Yeah.
keep on keeping on. And how can we grow with the things that are changing? So
Mhm.
automation is one of them. Are how are you utilizing automation and AI in your business? Have you embraced it yet?
I will be honest with you. First of all, AI at home sucks. Like my robot is not a good robot. And every time I hook any of my stuff up to apps, I finally just got a washer and dryer that doesn't have any apps because my other one was driving me nuts. So AI at home doesn't really work. In business, we're really not using it. And I've had two employees that have started using AI and they have screwed everything up. Like they've just like I'm like, what is this word salad? Like, where did this word salad come from? And they're like, oh, well, I chat GPT, blah, blah, blah. It's like, stop talking to chat GPT. Chat GPT is not organizing a house. They don't understand, like anything that we're doing. Like, yeah, I'm not using it because every time we use it, it actually gives us a product that's not as good as our own brains right now in what we're doing.
Yeah. And not just, and it could just need to learn more, maybe it's the input.
It's coming for the house last. I
And
mean, like, you guys will all
takes
have it before me.
right. It takes time. And, but no, I love your perspective on that because it's true. Like AI isn't organizing houses. And if the
No.
information's not inputted and we're not utilizing it in that way, then it's not going to know. And it's not your voice. It hasn't taken on your voice yet. So, what has visibility wise and marketing wise, how are you finding, do you work with mostly women? I know you interviewed men and women, so do you work with a lot of men, and how are they finding you?
Yeah, so our surveys are done through an online academic portal called Qualtrics and Prime Panels. Those just go out and find people to take surveys for you, but primarily the Organized 365 audience is women. And they find us, I don't know, through God, because I'm not very good at all those other things. Mostly it's the podcast. Like they go in the podcast and they're searching whatever, and somehow the Organized 365 podcast comes up and they listen to it and they go, well, that's interesting. And
Yeah.
then they just keep listening.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love it. So, Lisa, I have a couple questions for you. The first one
Okay.
is there a fun fact about you, something behind the scenes about Lisa that we wouldn't know from maybe listening to Organized 365 podcast or going to the website or seeing you on social media?
Yes. When I was in high school, my grandmother and I would travel to jigsaw puzzle competitions.
Really? That's awesome.
Yes. So
I never
fun.
even knew there was a jigsaw puzzle competition.
I know. It's so fun.
Did you win?
No,
Oh,
no, we didn't win.
were these elaborate jigsaw puzzles? Like they're timed and you have to put it
Yeah.
together?
Yeah. And back in the day, I don't know if it's still this way now, but back in the day, it was sponsored by Springbok. So it would be a puzzle no one had ever seen before. So you'd go into like this gym. We went to Ohio University. So you go into the gym of Ohio University, and there are all these tables with paper on them and this puzzle upside down. And they do the timer, and you'd flip it over and you'd start sorting and you'd start putting together your puzzles.
Did you do
So
them
great.
together or by yourself? Were
We
you
were in
like,
the doubles competition, my
ah,
grandma and I. Yeah, we're in the doubles. So we did a 1,000 piece
great
puzzle.
memory though. What a cool
Yeah.
memory for you. That's awesome. And for
Yeah.
her, it's amazing. So my last question is if you could have lunch with anyone, deceased or
Mm.
alive, who would it be and why?
I would like to have lunch with Benjamin Franklin.
Mm,
Yeah. He reinvented himself 4 times in his lifetime. I mean, completely,
I know.
politician to scientist to like, it's just entrepreneur, like incredible.
He was,
Incredible.
what's the word I'm looking for? Like a progressive pivoter.
Yeah. Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
no, he reinvention. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know he reinvented himself that many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Intriguing. Well, thank you for sharing that. Can you share with us again where we can get the book, where we can get your courses, and also the products that you have, and also connect with you?
Everything's at organized365.com.
That's so easy. One place,
So
one stop
easy.
shop.
Yeah.
Or she's organized and she's a massive brander, perfectionist brander. I love it. I love everything's in one place. It makes it so easy. So go to organized365.com, go get your book, go get your course, go get on track to organize yourself and declutter and all the things and just create efficiency, ease, and flow in your life for you. And if you're a mom, a parent for your children, and if you're a grandparent for your grandchildren, pass this gift down the line, please, please. I wish would have had this gift sooner, and I'm excited to pass it on to my children before they leave the nest because they're both, my son's 15 and my daughter's 17. I walk into I cleaned his room over the weekend. I walk in, jeans in the middle of the floor. I said, babe, you can't do this. I go, your wife is not going to like this when you're married. He's like, okay, mom. I'm saving your wife, your future wife. So Lisa, thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up or say that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't talk about today?
Nope. I thought it was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me. Thank you all for listening. If you know of anyone, and I'm sure you do, that would benefit from this conversation with Lisa, please share it. If you're on YouTube, please share this. Thank you for being here, by the way, watching us. We say hello. Please share this episode, this video and recording with someone you know. Pass the gift along. Women supporting women. That's what we're here for. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, thank you. We appreciate you. And I know you know somebody. Please, I know you know more than somebody. I know you know probably 5. Please share this with others that would benefit from hearing this conversation, from getting the book or taking the program and helping bring some organization into your life. It creates freedom. Discipline creates freedom. I know it sounds weird and maybe not make sense to some people, but it kind of like took me back when I heard it. And discipline for me is organization, and that creates freedom. So thank you, Lisa, for being here. Thank you all for listening to us on the S.H.E podcast. I look forward to seeing you on our next episode. In the meantime, be empowered to be seen and heard.